Welcome to Let's Talk About It Sunday, an extension of KELA's weekday local talk show featuring a variety of subjects of local interest. This program was pre-recorded, so we're unable to take live calls on today's show. And now, let's talk about it.
Welcome to Let's Talk About It here on AM 1470 KELA and 104.3 KMNT. I'm your host, Peter Abbarno, on a really fun edition of the Let's Talk About It show, where my special guest today is Mandi McDougall. Mandi has organized the Lighted Tractor Parade it's going on 13 years, Mandi?
Yeah, 14.
14 years. It seems like time is flying by, but she's been organizing it for a number of years through the Centralia Downtown Association, and the city of Centralia has been part of it. KELA-KMNT has been part of it, but really got to give her kudos that she's the backbone of this. And we want to talk a little bit about how the Lighted Tractor Parade got its birth, how it's evolved over time, and what to expect when you come to the Lighted Tractor Parade, which this year is on December 9th at 6 p.m. Mandi, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Peter.
This is a fun show. We haven't done it in a couple years, but the Lighted Tractor Parade has now 14 years, as we just established, is really one of the foundational events of our community. How did it get started?
14 years ago, there was a group of us sitting around, I think late fall, and brainstorming ideas for holiday events. So getting families into downtown, getting people into shops, because that is the core of our downtown. We have phenomenal restaurants and shops we want people to take advantage of in the holiday season. And Michelle and Frank, who owned a business downtown, had a list. She had pulled ideas from all across the country. The closest tractor parade is actually Linden, Washington. As we kind of looked through this list, it just jumped out to me. We have such an agricultural background here. It just really fits with Lewis County. And so from this list of about a dozen potential events, that was the one we decided to give a try first.
And what a cool event. I mean, obviously, starting a brand new parade has to be a pretty daunting task. I'm sure there were a lot of people going, is this really going to work? And I'm kind of pointing at myself, too, because I was there when it started. I'm like, oh, I don't even know, starting a whole parade. But how do you get from an idea to, we're going to do a parade?
Thankfully, Michelle did a fantastic job that first year kind of setting up our rules. So we only have one Santa Claus, and we've been really fortunate that we don't have a lot of political entries. So it's just a lot of really festive fun. I would love to know for sure. We either had 13 or 15 entries the first year. I've heard both, and I don't know for sure, but somewhere in that vicinity. And we didn't know, what we were doing. So sometimes it's one foot in front of the other and just going for it. And that's what we did.
Well, it's kind of funny. Whether it's 13 or 15, we could just say it wasn't a lot.
Was not a lot.
But the idea caught fire with a lot of people, because even though it wasn't a lot, people all saw this can turn into something that is pretty amazing.
It's so unique. I think being at night and it is breathtaking, even if there's 50 entries. Mm-hmm. The people's creativity, I was talking with someone the other day about some of my favorites. Global Septic put a porta potty up in one of their, like a dump truck.
I remember that.
That was one of my favorites. Santa Claus and the flamethrowers. Mm-hmm. We've had snow machine. I don't know. There's some things that stick out over the years. People really go above and beyond. And I know there's a pirate ship being built for this year. Yep. So I always look forward to see something new.
Yeah, if you're just tuning into the Let's Talk About It show with me, your host, Peter Abbarno, my special guest today, Mandi McDougall, we're talking about the Lighted Tractor Parade that's scheduled to be rolling through downtown Centralia on December 9th, beginning at 6 p.m. KELA-KMNT will be there playing music around 4 o'clock on the corner of West Magnolia and Tower, getting started with festivities and giveaways and the raffles, and just a really fun event for not only the people who are in the parade, everybody who's watching the parade, and the business owners. And you had mentioned it earlier, how exciting this event is for all the local businesses, because you get an influx. I mean, at one point, I think the Centralia PD one year said there was like 10,000 people downtown or something like that.
It's quite the disputed number, because our insurance company would also like to know how many people show up. And I always say, I don't count. I don't know how to help you.
Only a few.
Yeah, just a bit. But no, those people downtown who are shopping and getting a bite to eat, I mean, we hear from particularly the restaurants that it's their best night of the entire year. What a fun thing, right? To be able to have that happen.
It is fun. And I remember one year my law office was passing out hot cocoa. Old Blarney's was like, they had a server out there with a tray passing out. And Dawn's Delectables always, I mean, she goes above and beyond, which is fun because she's got the nice window there you can watch. But even she was passing out stuff outside. And it just seems like the Christmas spirit got into everybody. And everyone's just out there, you know, hot cocoa and candy canes and music. It's a lot of fun.
I usually, when the last float rolls out of the staging area, I walk to my studio and I get to see maybe half of the area as I go through. And I love all the kids who are hollering, they're waving, like just the looks on their faces as everybody goes by. Yeah, there's so much holiday cheer.
So have we chosen, and I say we just because I want to be part of it more and more, have we chosen who the Grand Marshal is?
It's still under lock and key.
Oh, it's still so all no hints?
No hints.
Yeah. All right. Well, but what's fun about the parade, and we'll talk about the Santa Claus, because for any parents, grandparents, kids listening to the show, the real Santa Claus always comes to this parade. But what's really unique about this parade, aside from all the lights and how it's neat in the dark, is you have bands and choirs and the things you don't normally see in daytime, like a 4th of July parade. It makes this parade really unique.
It is definitely a audio-visual experience, let's say, right? Because you do get that. We have bagpipers, who are actually helping sponsor the parade this year. And so they're going to be towards the front, which we're very excited about. Really just... I love that we have so many marching bands that are December. Sometimes this year it's not. Sometimes it's after they're out for the Christmas break and they still bring their kids back to do the parade. So that's a big testament to them really wanting to participate.
It's a full immersion experience, right?
For sure.
And that's what's cool about the parade. If you haven't gone, we're talking about the Lighted Tractor Parade in historic downtown Centralia, and this year it's going to be on December 9th at 6 p.m. But if somebody listening hasn't been before, it is a really a full experience. It's not the kind where you just show up and there's the parade, which you can do, but there's so much that goes on in the crowd that makes it exciting.
Yes, and I think also floats work so hard to make them interactive, to make it more than just somebody driving past you, dancing, singing, like I said earlier, some snow machines happening. Mm-hmm. I can almost never fully take in a float the first time I see it. Because
there's always so much going on. Now, is there a minimum number of lights that has to be on? Talk about that.
Yeah, so over the year, we've kind of refined it a little bit. If you have a single vehicle, it's 1,000 lights.
Okay.
And sometimes that seems easy until you're figuring out where to put 1,000 lights on a vintage tractor that's not very big, and then we get real creative. And if you have like float, then it's 1,000 kind of per piece.
Okay.
So 2,000 total.
But there's a lot of floats and cars and trailers and everything else that have way more than 1,000 lights.
Last year, CNC Development stopped counting at 30,000 lights.
That's insane.
Incredible.
Yeah. And you can see it coming. What's fun for me, especially kind of on the announcers a platform, to look down the street and just see the lights start coming. It's like you're watching dawn come, because you see them turn around the Fox Theater corner and they're coming down Tower, and it's just, not only do you hear the roar of the crowd, but you see this glow coming down the street. It really still gives me chills thinking about that. It's just neat.
And we've had some incredible overhead shots taken also. I think that was last year also that I think it was Blue Sky Drones did some overhead stuff. I had so much fun looking at it, and I've seen it all, right? Yeah. So for somebody who hasn't, what a cool visual.
So talk a little bit about how much work this is for you. I mean, this probably only takes a few hours, right?
It's my third child.
So, I mean, when do you start? I mean, I imagine you take like a night off and then start thinking about the next one. But, I mean, how much work is it? And how is it working with all the volunteers and partners you have within the community?
We are so lucky. The Centralia Downtown Association has been so good to kind of just let me run with things over the years. And Mackenzie does such a nice job of supporting everything going on. So typically after the parade is over, like you said, we sort of take a beat or two and then go back and look at what worked. What do we think about for next year? Make sure we have a date figured out, because everybody always wants to know that so they can get it on their calendar. Right. And then I get to take a little bit of time off. But then in the summer, I start getting our approvals. So DOT and the city and insurance, we start all that pretty early.
Yeah. And you mentioned DOT because I don't think a lot of people understand the process of setting up a parade, especially along a state route.
Yeah, it's the state route that's the kicker.
Right.
So it's about a month of approval process for us. And way back when we first started, maybe a couple years in, when it really started to grow, they came to us and were like, whoa, brakes, what's happening? We had to go to the city engineer and have a whole traffic plan drawn up. And then in the last couple of years, there's like threat assessments that we have to do because of how many people show up to this event. So there's a lot of that I think people just don't quite get, but it's well worth the time.
It is. And I think the community, even though they may not every single one of them thank you individually, there's a kind of a general appreciation for it. I mean, in most voting of these things like listeners' choices and best ofs, Lighted Tractor Parade is always either the or one of the most popular events that goes on in our community.
Yeah, I get so much feedback throughout the year. Even I will mention something about it and somebody's like, oh, are you in the parade? I'm like, well, no, I run the parade.
You are the parade.
Yeah, do a lot of the work for the parade. There's a lot of other people. I am only one person, and I will tell you, as it has grown to 90 entries, it takes quite a team to manage getting everybody parked and, answering all the questions and keeping everybody moving in the right direction. We try really hard to keep everybody in order so that Peter doesn't get too overwhelmed at the announcer's stand. If things get out of order, it's all over for him.
Well, I try to make up for it.
Yeah, you're pretty good on the fly.
With bad jokes.
Hey, you're good on the fly.
Right. But no, I mean, you're right. What's really cool, and I remember one of the first times I announced, and I don't know how many I've announced, probably like year 7 or something, or 8, maybe more than that. But it used to be where we'd have a runner, and then we had the police would bring the booklet. And so what Mandy and I are talking about a little bit is when you have 90 entries, it's inevitable somebody's going to hop out of order, maybe?
Well, when you have antique tractors, things happen.
Yes.
That's probably the best thing to say. We learned maybe year 2 that antique tractors often don't back up. So we parked people a little differently in this parade than Summerfest. And through the years, there's a few bumps in the road, but usually we can get them moving again. Yeah.
And so they'll bring a binder, and as you're announcing entry to entry, you'll be looking and they'll be out of order. So you're flipping through, you're trying to figure it all out and see who won, which is fun too, because there's some great awards that the Downtown Association provides for best tractor, best antique, best choir, best kids. I mean,
best float.
Best float.
Yeah.
I mean, that sometimes Santa wins that quite often.
Yeah, well, he steals the show quite often, let's be honest.
It's by far the best.
Abate does an amazing job of decorating their float. It changes a little bit year to year. And do you know they use that float to take some presents out to the Safe Family Ministries house before they come to the parade?
I didn't know that. I know they do that. I didn't know they did it right before the parade, though. And they are, Abate is, and they've been on the show before. They do amazing community service throughout the community. And for those who aren't listening to me announce, they're the float that is all the motorcycles with Santa on the back, and the flames sometimes, depending on the year and whether or not it's approved or not, come out the side, and the kids just, I mean, faces light up.
It is a spectacle.
Yeah,
is the best way to put it. It's awe-inspiring when you see them. It's also a very large float. Mm-hmm. The scale of the float helps too. Yeah, Santa rides in style. Yeah, and when they do have fire coming out the back, everybody gets warm because that thing is hot. It is no joke. Yeah, it's propane. I believe, flames.
I always see that, and I'm just like, it takes your breath away just seeing these flames, these 10, 20-foot flames just flying out the side. And I know I'm exaggerating, and then everyone just lights up the neighborhood. And you got to thank a bait for being part of that, because that now has become kind of it's the anchor, right? It's the last one where it's Santa. It's the only one Santa.
So for a couple of years in the beginning, we tried to have our presenting sponsor have Santa, and it never was quite consistent. And so one year we asked them to take it on, and from then on, they put so much time and effort. And also, they're like my security backup, by the way, because sometimes you get a cranky old farmer, and I'm only 5 foot tall. Sometimes they don't want to listen to me. And so a bait is like, we're there. Do you need some help? Somebody not listening to you?
And it's funny because, and that doesn't surprise me from having them on this show, that they'll step up. And they're such a part of that event now that they probably have the gravitas to do it, right?
They do, yeah. I don't think anyone's told them no or looked sideways at most of those guys in a while.
No, I'm not. I'm definitely not. Yeah, not only because of, a bait, but also because they carry Santa Claus. So if somebody wanted to, enter a float, what's that process even look like?
Our application is on the website. It's downtowncentralia.org. Mm-hmm. They can also find us. We have a Lighted Tractor Parade Facebook page. Right. So they can look on there, send us a message. We are answering that day in, day out. Once you've filled out the application, you pay the entry fee. We try to keep it as minimal as possible just to cover our insurance and the city fees. And then really it's just digging into your creativity and building a float. Like I said, I know a pirate ship is being built. I've heard some plans that are coming this year. Some fun things, some horses, some bagpipes. That's what I think is so fun I get a lot of questions about the theme. It's just general holiday Christmas cheer. Yeah. So people can kind of go to their wildest imagination with the holidays.
That is fun. The Lighted Tractor Parade is a lot of fun. And just a reminder, it's on December 9th at 6 p.m.
You are listening to Let's Talk About It Sunday, an extension of KELA's weekday local talk show. Stay tuned. Let's Talk About It Sunday edition will return in a moment.
Okay, and now back to business.
Listen on the air and online.
KELA.
Let's talk about it. Good morning. You're listening to Let's Talk About It Sunday, an extension of KELA's weekday local talk show. This program was pre-recorded, so no live phone calls on today's show.
If you're tuning in to the Let's Talk About It show here on AM 1470 KELA or KMNT 104.3, my special guest today is Mandi McDougall, and we're talking about the Lighted Tractor Parade. In addition to just Christmas theme, I've seen some really funny themes. Like one year we saw the Chevy Chase Christmas holiday with the classic, what is it? The old
the station wagon.
Yeah. I mean, that was I can't remember when that first made its appearance in the parade, but that was a hit.
I want to say like 2018, maybe.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a total hit. And we've seen some really interesting things pop up. Really funny. I mean, Goebel has been in it, I think, from the beginning. Theirs is huge.
Yes, they've done the Polar Express. They've done a lot of really fun ones. And they also deliver us porta potties. Yep. Usually at no charge or...
Which is always nice because you had talked earlier, it's about partnerships. It's about although I still think you just do this, I mean, you're everywhere. You're running for 5 foot. You're everywhere for just sometimes you're at the stage and then you're running over there. But really cool to see the number of people who are willing to just step up and lend a hand. And I know that the Downtown Association has done such a great job at working with you. The city, I mean, they've done a great job. Centralia PD, too. I mean, can't say enough about them.
We could not do it without them. And also, I think just, there have been some challenges over the years, like the not throwing candy is one of those things that people kind of get upset about. But when Stacy, Chief Denham, and I sat down many years ago, and we had kind of a close call with a large piece of farm equipment, and we kind of worked out, do we want this thing to be long term? We do, and we don't want anyone to get hurt. So it's nice that we can all really make it a priority to make this happen. The city, the police department, lots of community partners. Alderson's Awards West always does our trophies and our plaques, and they're so generous. They donate all of that.
Well, and this parade, unlike maybe the 4th of July in the middle of the day where everyone can see, I mean, it's dark. As I recall, even from the first year the city did this and Downtown Association did this, it was, hey, we really don't want you throwing things because it's dark still, and kids get like, it's at 6 at night, it's dark, and kids are all hopped up on sugar. And so, I mean, there's a better chance someone's going to get hurt when it's like that.
For sure. For several years, right there at the Fox, we didn't have the stanchions to kind of hold people back. And there was one year, actually went back and looked at it. It was 2016. We had a very large piece of equipment. And I had to physically almost block people with my body to even push them back to get it through the crowd.
Wow.
And that was the year we were like, okay, we gotta make some changes because we don't want your kids getting squished. We want to keep doing this parade. We want everybody to have fun, and we want people on the floats. Farm equipment's doesn't always have the best view of what's going on in front of it, behind it. So safety first.
Well, and if you don't go to the parade, I mean, you don't get as much of a kind of a perception of how it is. But there are years, even when it's a little rainy, you'll get 3-4 deep on the sidewalks of people wanting to see these things because they're so big and so high up that there are a few bad places to watch.
Definitely. And I think also there are places where people congregate. So we've tried over the years to give suggestions where people can kind of spread out to, but it's fun to view it in a group.
Right.
It's fun to be in the midst of everything. And under the Fox sign is a favorite just because it feels so, I don't know, nostalgic right there.
Yep. No, I think there's a number of different places that are pretty nostalgic. I think the Fox over by Dawn's is one of them. Where I do the announcing over by O'Blarney's, right in that big circle area, it's just filled up. And City Hall, too. I mean, there's a number of different spots where I think people congregate, but there's not a bad seat in the house or bad part of sidewalk in because it wraps all the way around City Hall and goes out the other way. So
all the way back up Main. So
we
try to tell people if they're looking give people a call, and they'll ask if I have somebody who can't get out of a car, where's a good parking lot. So we try to make sure that we are accommodating for all of those situations.
Yeah. No, I agree. And what's really interesting too, because I've had friends from out of town say, that they're coming in. I said, if you're coming in, I mean, we start announcing from KELA-KMNT about 4:00. And at that point, side streets are already getting shut down because it's pretty busy already.
It's a production also to close that down. So big thanks to the city and the police because closing down that much of a staging route just in the drop of a hat's not the easiest job. So they do have to start early in order to have it, all the cars moved off and be ready to roll on time. Yeah,
and I know KELA-KMNT, we live stream it from on top of the stage and so you could hear the announcing. And at first when we were doing that, I said, I don't know what I feel about live streaming the event because, you want to encourage people to show up. What I found was that, one, it doesn't discourage people from showing up, but you get a ton of comments from people in Texas and Florida, former people who couldn't come back here to watch the parade. They watch it from like other states, which is super neat. I mean, which is a testament to the work you did.
So we have someone who's worked with us, and she's done a lot of our graphic design work, who owned a building in downtown Centralia. And during COVID, she moved away, and she got to watch last year online. She's going to be back in person this year. But it is nice to just know that we can share that. If someone can't get out for whatever reason, they can still get that holiday cheer in their house.
Yeah.
I think it's...
I love the comments. I just find it to be just amazing to see the commitment people have, not only to our community after they've left or if they can't come back for some reason, but just that they want to be part of it. They send really great comments in. They're posting comments. They're sharing it. We always in our community want to look to the good things that are happening. And sometimes we read the news or listen to news and it's, please, no, I don't want another black eye in our community. This is one that just uplifts everybody.
It's funny. Over the years, there's been a little grumbling maybe. And I'm always amazed when that parade is over. it is cleared out for as many people as our downtown. We've really figured out how to operate and get everybody in and out and get to see what they need to see.
And generally, they clean up after themselves. It's actually one of the cleaner parades I've seen. I mean, I know it's dark out, but I'm there pretty late too, and I look around. I'm like, all right, this is different than a lot of parades. People actually took pride in it and cleaned up.
Yeah, we do pretty good on that.
Yeah, no, and the nice thing is people say thank you. What I've always found about this parade, it's the holiday season too, but it kind of gives everyone that jump start into the holiday giving, good cheer kind of mood.
And I think having an event that is, it's not a short event, right? It's about an hour, give or take. That's free, so everyone can come watch it and just leave with this sense of community. Yeah. I don't think we could ask for a better end result. No,
there's a lot of pride in this parade, and I'm just always pretty excited when right about this time of year when I reach out to you and we start talking about the parade and the flyer comes out, and I don't know, there's just a good feeling. You know, it's just part of the history and tradition of our community, and you, as you said it earlier, having that agricultural twist to it even makes it more special.
Yeah. Do you know the first day? So I'm always amazed. We were trying to get it out by October 1st, the application this year, and DOT was taking their time, which is okay. We want it done right. Yeah. And so when we finally launched it about a week later, a third of our parade filled up in about 6 hours.
Wow.
We're almost full. We're probably about 65 entries right now. So.
Wow. That's awesome.
It's incredible. It's so great to see people's willingness. You know, they will start pestering me about August. Hey, is the link ready? Can I sign up yet?
Funny.
Yeah, they want to be part of it.
So what is we talked about some of the different floats and entries. What if you had to pick, I hate doing this to you, but if you had to pick one of your favorites aside from the Abate one, what would it be?
Oh man, that's a tough one. So many years ago, Fred, Sue's husband. Anyhow, he had a tractor and his corgi on the front of it. And he probably didn't have 1,000 lights, but that one has always stuck out for me because it was just so Fred of him to do that. I really like that. The porta potty was pretty funny. Mm-hmm. And the singers. I love the kids. Yep. I love seeing the kids' entries. We've had, baseball teams over the years that have won different things and had a float. My daughter's dance team is going to be in it. They're building the pirate ship. We're pretty excited about that. So I just love seeing all the kids get excited to participate.
I remember Kyle Rasmussen in Bethel Church, and he was on a unicycle. And I'm like, Pastor Kyle, you're going to kill yourself.
It's a little dark for that out here.
I was like, what? I love Centralia, Rochester, and some of the other schools come out with their bands. And I love a good marching band, especially a high school marching band, because the kids just look super happy to be out there. I don't know. Marching bands always make me happy, and especially because a lot of their sticks and other things are all lit up, which is cool. They
don't get a whole lot of opportunity as a marching band to play in our community. Mm-hmm. They will go do like the Macy's Parade in Seattle, but they don't do our summer parade because it's summer, so they're out of school. And so it's really what a great opportunity for them to get to play for their community and get that exposure.
Yeah, I always love that part. I just think that's kind of just cool. And then the people who just have fun with it. The Grinches and some of the other takes on different movies. Always just, there's a lot of creativity in the community, and people take full advantage of this parade to express it.
For sure, yeah. And can I just quick shout out to Dave from King's Agricultural Museum, because Dave brings a different vintage. I don't think we've had a double ever. He's been in every single parade, and he brings out something new every year. It's had the King Solomon sign.
That's right.
Several years ago. That was kind of one that sticks out in my mind. But I just love, because I never know. One year was like a 1940s tractor, and he needed a ladder to get on this thing. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
And so you never know what Dave's going to roll up with. And now he brings a couple friends to drive a couple tractors.
No, that's cool. I mean, we have a great community. Love this parade. Everyone really appreciates it. Okay, Mandi, if somebody wants to donate, sponsor, support, want more information, or do an entry into the Centralia Lighted Tractor Parade on December 9th, beginning at 6 p.m., how do they contact you?
You can probably the Facebook page,
Yeah.
Centralia Lighted Tractor Parade is a great way, or downtowncentralia.org.
Yep, and that's great. And be sure to come down to the Lighted Tractor Parade in downtown Centralia on December 9th at 6 p.m. If you want to hang out with us and me, who will be announcing the parade on the corner of West Magnolia and Tower with KELA-KMNT, come visit us. We start off about 4 o'clock with some great prizes and giveaways, and come downtown, visit our local businesses, and support Mandi, the Downtown Association, the City of Centralia, and all the parade entries and businesses in the City of Centralia for the Lighted Tractor Parade. Thank you for tuning in to Let's Talk About It here on AM 1470 KELA and KMNT.